where they're talking about building the up to 47,000 square feet of office business space. So in theory, you could have retail there also. It's zoned properly for that as a CP3 besides a C3.
Okay.
If I could make one additional comment.
Sure.
The applicant, excuse me, not the applicant, the protest petition does mention a dollar amount that it says they pay to the city of Gardner. We wanted to verify that. We did check our records. At this point in time, we are unable to verify that the city of Gardner has received any funding from this protest petition applicant as sales tax that we can identify. So what we may need to do is we've tried the business names, and we may need to find out under what name they're presenting that tax to the state so that we can identify the amount that's being stated.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, Mark?
Yeah. So, Larry, we discussed trees and driveways not too long ago.
Yes, sir.
And on this, we're looking at reduced setbacks pretty much all the way around, and then also a reduced tree depth. So
yes, sir.
From 8 feet to 5 feet. So are we just inviting ourselves for more issues that we want to address with the trees going forward?
Right.
So let's say all this goes through now with the preliminary, and then we get through that, who knows when, right? And then we get to final plat and we dump this on them. What concerns?
We do what?
That we would change the development code on them.
Well, the code, they're applying underneath the current code, so they already know what the code requirements are.
Okay. So we wouldn't have to.
No, they understand all the setbacks and everything. That's all under the current code, and their entire plan is built around satisfying the land development code requirements.
Okay.
And the setback requirements were really only reduced because with the way they place their buildings, it reduces the amount of landscaping requirement because visually you're obstructing, kind of like with a fence, the building's acting as basically as a barrier or a fence to the interior of the property.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, Mark? Okay. Councilman Winters.
Sure. So storage of vehicles or storage of however they word that, so that could be heavy construction, that could be, are there any restrictions on what can be stored for the outdoor storage?
Outdoor storage does have some restrictions in the land development code. For example, it's normally limited to RV vehicles, type vehicles, trailers, boats, those kinds of activities that you would see like at Olathe RV Ford. There is, though, the requirement, or not a requirement, there is, they allow cars also to be stored in those particular areas. Heavy construction equipment such as derricks, cranes, container cargo trailers, those would not be allowed. Those are required M1, and so that's a different category.
Okay. And you mentioned most of the storage would be to the east side of the property. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The outside designated outside storage area. Can we bring up the one slide, please? That shows the site plan.
Yeah.
It's a little easier to look at it when we. Okay, if you look at the what would be my right side of the screen, I assume is your right side also, where it says Phase 3.
Yes.
That's the interior. That is the designated outdoor storage area. The striped area, that's the long lines around on the outside of that, are the designated buildings that would be built. And then the entire area along the very north side of that, the north is up on this map, on the very north side is actually the drainage requirement area. So that's the ponding area for the entire project. So that is another reason for the setbacks on the north side of Santa Fe, is to have a designated drainage area for that. So you're looking on Phase 1 is the first building is in the middle left-hand corner right next to the unplatted area. That would be the original office area with parking behind, and then behind that is a small structure that runs right through the middle of the property that's open white space. That would be the basically a garage type parking area. It's a three-sided, like a container building, but the south side would be open so you could park, just drive in and out of it interior wise. The rest of it's parking lot. And then the phase 2 building on the left side is the largest building that would be built. It could be delineated into smaller offices as needed. And then there is a phase 4 directly behind phase 1, which would be another office area. It would be, you would reach it off of Santa Fe. The main entrance road is to the south of the unplatted in the middle of Warren. And so you would enter there to go left or right onto the property, and you would exit the property there. The entrance on the far left side, right behind what would be the middle of the property to Moonlight, is a fire department entrance and knockbox entry only. So it'd be a gated entrance. It's not open to the public to enter or exit there. This was to take care of a concern that the car dealership had for not sharing their entrance onto the property. So there's a separate easement and property entrance that would be there, but it's blocked so that we don't cause backup traffic problems, people trying to enter and exit into the light at that particular area. So all the entrance and exit traffic is off of Warren for the entire project, with the exception of phase 4, which is off of Santa Fe. Does that give you a better feel for the layout of the project and how it's to be built? Thank you.
So then along those lines, so if the entire property is changed to the CP3,
Yes, sir.
can they alter this, what we see before us here, and decide later on that now that it's CP3, we're going to make phase 2 the outdoor storage, we're going to change things around?
They'd have to come back before the Planning Commission to alter anything on that. And the Planning Commission would have to give them permission to change that. But it's, I mean, they could do that, but I don't know why they would want to.
Well,
you could ask the client, he's here.
Well, sure. But what if we changed only the area where the phase 3 is to the CP3 and left the C3 in the other phases? Because what I'm hearing you say is the primary difference is how things are stored. I mean, that's...
Yeah, you're trying to limit the ability to change the phase 3.
It's the whole property is one big giant property, so it's kind of hard to parcel.
We would have to go back to the Planning Commission because we've got a zoning ordinance written to change everything. So you'd have to send it back, and then it would have to be re-reviewed and a new recommendation brought back to you if you wish to do that. I believe that's correct. Am I incorrect in that, Ryan? If they only wanted to change the phase 3 section to CP3 and leave the rest of it as what? As is?
C3, yeah.
Well, there's a strip with all the parking along Warren on the west side. That's the R2 area. That would need to become C3.
Right.
But that would have to go back. If you're not accepting the recommendation as given, you have to send it back, I believe.
Well, I just, you know, one of the concerns of the protest position seemed to be the storage of the outdoor vehicles and how the proximity to their business. Would that not?
True, but you have the vet buildings and the other land all in between. You can't even see that area currently from that corner, even without anything being built in between. What's the correct?
Is phase 3, is that currently a separately parcel area?
No. It's all one parcel, 12.8 acres.
I think the problem is that we published it with a specified legal description to be rezoned. And if we rezone something different than what was published, we've got a notice defect of that.
That was that radio station.
And, you know, I don't know how you would take action on that? I mean,
It would have to be parceled out and then specified that this is the area that's only that one thing. I mean, I'm just.
Planning to figure it out.
You'd have to
'Cause
subdivide.
You'd have
Yeah.
to spell it out. Because right now, in legal description, it's all this one
Right.
lot.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
Okay,
I don't have any questions.
all right. Councilman Grorsek, any questions for the,
Yes, this is Randy. Larry, I just wanted to clarify. So between the excise tax, the permitting, and I believe it is the park fees, it's about $253,000. Is that annualized, so year over year, or is that one-time revenue?
Those would all be one-time revenues.
Okay.
Now, the property valuation, of course, is property tax. That's the $5 million estimate is an estimate of construction build-out value. It was not necessarily what the assessor would value at it. The assessor might come in with a higher or lower valuation, which would, of course, affect the future property tax.
just to be clear, we're not supposed to consider potential property tax revenues in making zoning decisions.
that's correct.
thank you, Ryan.
Could Randy hear that?
Did you hear, Randy?
I wasn't making a decision based on revenue. I was just confirming what I had provided. Thank you.
Council President?
I'm Mike Brock with Construction Management Services. I live at 23367 South Moonlight Road. Finished. We're hoping to get started in September for the first phase, and then we're going to run the second phase through the next Planning Commission. Phase 3 would start next spring. Phase 4 hopefully next fall. If you look at the left side that they're concerned about, there's no room to park anything. It's all alleyways, driveways. There's on the half of the side. I designed it for buildings surround that whole piece of property, so nobody can look inside it.
No, appreciate it. Thank you, though. Appreciate that.
Thanks. Anything else, Rich?
That's it. That was,
Okay,
I'd like to see it in a year, you know.
all right.
Recommendation.
To the petitioner's concerns regarding the corner car lot. When we do zoning recommendation, or when we look at zoning, part of that criteria, just for the benefit of the rest of the body, is to look at the impact on surrounding zoning as well as land uses. So keep that in mind. And understand we do have a protest petition on this. So because of that, we do need to have a part of the government.
is to accept the final plat, and the final plat sets basically those uses to those locations.
And understand we're only going to be looking at this point, the zoning. So preliminary plat, final plat, they'll come later.
Correct.
And they're all coming before us to be
Yes, sir.
approved, along with the development plan, correct, since it's
Yes,
a
sir.
planned district? So just another point of clarification for the body. If there's no other questions, concerns, or thoughts, I will entertain a motion on new business, recommendation one.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Winters, that we adopt ordinance 2581 approving Z-1 rezoning of approximately acres Warren Street from respective zonings C3, R2, and RM to CP.
Councilman Winters,
Yes.
Councilman Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Shute,
Yes. Committee recommendation item number 1 passes. Committee recommendation item number 2.
Sir?
Okay. You can hear fine though?
Sir?
Okay.
Economic transformation. The journey to a flourishing, sustainable city continues in the biennial budget entitled Transformation 2.0. You've seen this wheel many times for the benefit of our public. Priority-based budgeting certainty to position the city for continued economic development. due to military deployment. It will remain in future years to maintain minimum staffing levels. Last year's budget included 2 utility positions that were not funded that are being requested as part of this budget: a line maintenance worker and a senior line maintenance worker. Utility funds. It also includes to eliminate parks position. Parks and Recs restructuring with the superintendent position for additional maintenance workers. Do you want to get some feedback before
Yeah, thank you,
public
Cheryl.
comments?
Yeah, I think it's probably prudent to ask for a
Some
public comment period because of the fact that we lost our ability to
Absolutely.
have our public comment period just in general right after the budget. So
So we'll get that and
I
I'll
will
come
open
back.
it up. Yeah, I'll open it up for public comments on the presentation item. Please limit your comments to the budget, if you could, please, if you wish to come forward and speak. With no one coming forward, questions for the city administrator or the finance director? All right, I did have one question that was pretty much to address what Mr. Cox has stated regarding the impact of the mill. I think that what he was maintaining or asserting was that we were capturing the entire valuation increase plus a mill levy increase. My understanding is that is not the case. We cannot do that under the property tax legislation. Am I correct on that?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just be loud. Actually, the city's assessed valuation went down. I missed it by 0.003%.
Oh, darn.
So,
Went down from the original projection, but it's not up.
no, it's down from what they gave us in February.
So
Right, so
they put a pretty hefty increase, but it's
overall, in total, the city's assessed valuation is essentially flat.
okay.
So while residential growth may have happened,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps commercial valuations, there may